Hey everyone! So today's video is to answer this question that I'm getting a lot recently, which is what jobs you do online. And this is going to be different for everyone because it depends on your skill set. It depends on what you're good at and what you want to do. But I will make this video to share with you what my journey has been with working online and what are the different kinds of jobs that I have done. I'm going to try and keep this short, but I do tend to ramble on, so apologies in advance if this turns out to be a really long video. So when I started in 2013, I didn't quit my job, but I took a sabbatical. And for the first couple of years, I was working for my husband, who was then my boyfriend, and I wasn't getting paid, but I was learning a lot from him. You can consider it an internship. So I basically was doing like an internship with my husband, my then boyfriend, and helping him out in his digital marketing business. And I think that those 2 years were really, really good for me because I knew nothing about the online marketing space. I knew nothing about working online and making money online. I had worked for 9 years before then in a laboratory in Singapore. So there was no way that I could have, worked in a lab while traveling. Just wasn't possible. So I had no idea what to do. I had no idea how to take those skills that I had learned in the lab and transfer them online into a remote job. So the first few years was really all about exploring. And I did anything and everything that he needed help with. So I helped him I learned all about SEO. Well, not all about SEO, but I learned a lot about SEO. I learned about Google AdWords. I learned about different ways that people make money online. Drop shipping, creating courses online, digital products, even taking photos. I would create thumbnails for his videos. I learned how to record videos and put them up on YouTube, and use keywords and all of that stuff. So I basically did anything and everything. I didn't say no to anything because I saw it all as an opportunity to learn. So I did that for the first couple of years, and then in 2015 I met a guy in Bali who was selling ice cream scoops on Amazon, and I was like, my mind was blown. I was like, how is this guy living in Bali, living the dream life and doing that by selling ice cream scoops on Amazon? So that I got really stuck on that. Like, I just really wanted to know more. I was really curious, and I still hadn't found any way to make money online for myself, right? At that point, I was still living off of my savings, and I had to find a way to make money online. So Michael managed to get me a course through a friend, a free course on how to sell on Amazon. And a month later, we happened to find ourselves in the US, and I thought this is now the perfect time. So I took a week and I plowed through the entire course. I watched every single video, and I just decided to jump into it. So I started off with, instead of investing like a lot of money into a product from China and then shipping it to the US and all of that, I decided to start like really small. So we started with making our own product, and because I had the lab experience that we had the machine, I started with making ionic silver, which is like an antibacterial, antiviral agent that we use ourselves and which can be made at home. So I did that. I designed the labels, I designed the packaging, I sourced everything. I did everything from A to Z. I did the whole thing. And creating listings on Amazon, sending the product to Amazon, how to create like warehouse shipments, and everything. So that was an amazing learning experience on how to sell products on Amazon. But it wasn't a winning product. It wasn't something that was going to make me a full-time income, because even though it got great reviews, there just wasn't enough demand for it on Amazon. So couple of months later, after spending 3 months in the US, we found ourselves back in Asia. And then we decided to try, the product sold out, and there was no way that I could create the product in Singapore and send it to the US. It would have been too expensive. So I decided to, you know, close that down and not continue. And then we tried partnering up with a friend who owned a kitchen in Singapore, and we decided to try and make superfood smoothies. And this was an idea because we saw many people selling smoothies, but they were not as, in our opinion, not as amazing as the ones that we were making and drinking and, you know, enjoying ourselves every day. So we decided to try that, and again, it was really good, but we were working like flat out on the weekends, making 200 smoothies, delivering them, and it was just a lot of work, and we got stuck. Like, we couldn't actually travel if we were going to be working in our business like that in a physical location. So we had to stop that too. After a while, after our friend had to move kitchens, she decided to stop her lease in this kitchen, and then we didn't have a kitchen anymore. So that was just a natural, I mean, that was the perfect time for us to stop as well, because we were starting to realize that we were getting sucked into this business and we were not enjoying being stuck in a location. So then there was a job opportunity. Michael found a job ad to do customer service for this software as a service tool, which I had used myself when I was, you know, selling my own product on Amazon. And I applied for the job. You know, it was a video application, no old school CVs. My first time doing that. It was very nerve-wracking. And then I had the interview. I was traveling in India at that time for my cousin's wedding, and I had the interview on the morning of the wedding. And hey, I got the job. So a couple of weeks later, I was back in Singapore. I wrapped up my entire life in 3 days, and I moved to Bangkok for training. So we were supposed to do training for 3 months. And so yeah, I started with my very first job was doing customer service for a SaaS company, software as a service company, in the Amazon industry. And a couple of months later, you know, the company got bought over by a different company in China, and I didn't want to move to China, so I got fired. And it was a really sad time, because I felt like I had just sort of figured this out, you know, how to make money for myself, and then I got fired. And it was one thing about me was that I knew I had the ability to be persistent, and I wanted this badly enough. So I just, you know, held my head up high, and I just kept applying. You know, I kept applying to other roles. And a friend sent me a role with a competitor company who was also hiring for a customer service role, and I applied. Again, a video application. And when I had the interview, they offered me a role with the founder's own company, his personal business, doing operations for them. And I thought, this is perfect, because I wasn't really passionate about customer service. So I joined his company. I accepted the offer, and I did that for a year. I learned, again, it was in the Amazon industry. I learned everything about you know, how to run like a 6-figure business, and that was really valuable for me. Like, when I was running my own business, it was just a tiny business, but now I was working for someone who was running a 6-figure Amazon business, and what I was learning from these amazing, smart, intelligent people was just so valuable. Only thing is that I was working every single day of the year. I was even working on Saturdays and Sundays for 2 hours, and I could never switch off ever. And even then, I continued traveling. I think I traveled to like 14 countries that year. So it can be done, you know, guys. I mean, working online doesn't mean that life is just, you're just putting your legs up, and it's not like that. Like, you really have to work really hard. And if this is the life you want, you have to be willing to work for it. I knew that I was passionate about traveling, and I knew that I wanted to find a way to fund my own travels, and I was willing to do whatever it took. So I did that for a year, and then I actually really burnt out, because I think that's only so long you can go before, you know, you need a break, right? So I worked for like 365 days in a row without a single day off, and I traveled 14 countries. So I was really burnt out. And a year later, my husband convinced me to quit because, he could really see how it was affecting my health as well. And, nothing is worth you sacrificing your health. So I quit and I went back into working for my husband, this time getting paid. But I only did that for a few months. So I realized that I still really liked doing my own thing and working for, not for myself, but by myself. I think that it's really important to me that I separate work and relationships. So that really was not a long-term solution. So I decided to move into, again, finding my own job. So by this time, because I had worked for such good companies in the Amazon space, it became easier for me to apply for roles because I had that credibility already. So this is how you do it, guys. You start with something small. You start with a simple role like customer service. If you don't already know what it is that you're good at, I was still discovering that. I was still trying to find out what was it that I was good at, and what I wanted to do. So I started there, and I built up my CV. It's in many ways it's like almost the same as having a corporate job. You build up your CV. So I then worked for an Australian Amazon seller, helping him with his business, doing all the sourcing and more in the sourcing side of things. Realized that really wasn't my passion either, and he ran out of money anyways after a few months. So again, I was out looking for jobs. So this is the journey, guys. Like when you work for yourself, or when you work online, or when you work for startups or tech companies, you have to be prepared that there might not be the same type of job security that you are used to having in a traditional 9-to-5 job at home, working for a government job. I haven't found that job security, or maybe I haven't been lucky, but personally I want to be with a company for as long as I can. I'm not the kind of person who likes to be constantly looking for new jobs, because looking for a job is a full-time job, guys. So I like to stay for as long as I can, but that was not my experience. The sellers that I was working for, they were a little bit smaller. They didn't have the money to continue. So then I moved into working for a German seller who, again, was a great company. I was with them for like 9 or 10 months. And then the department which I had sort of joined, not the department, but like the service that I had joined to help them to sell, wasn't doing so well. And the founder decided to change directions. So I was let off again, just a few days before New Year's. So, that's really been the experience for myself. Every few months, 9 months to a year, I'm looking for new work. But when you build up your CV, it gets easier. It gets easier to apply. It gets easier to get interviews. It gets easier to get hired. And that's really been my experience. So this year I decided that I wanted to move out of the Amazon industry. I was kind of like tired of, things changing in the Amazon world so often and having to look for new roles every few months, that I decided to change industries. And I realized that my strengths was in operations. This is what I'm really good at doing. I'm really good at, helping companies to run and to manage their projects. So that's what I decided to apply for. And this time I got a role with a content publishing company. So I helped them with their operations and their project management. So it's a completely new industry, like 3 years later, working online, I'm learning new things, and this is something that you have to be committed to when you work online, is to constantly be learning. It's not like working in a typical 9-to-5 role. Like when I was working 9 years in this lab, honestly, after some time, I kind of stopped learning. I was just doing the same thing day in and day out. And don't get me wrong, like I loved the company I was working for. I loved my colleagues. We had such a good time together, but I wasn't growing professionally. And that's something that I've really grown so much in this last few years. I've learned so much about so many different industries, and I've also done a lot of weird things in between just to try and make some money. You know, I worked as a profile moderator for an online dating website in between jobs. I also not teach English, but I basically help foreign students get more confident with speaking English on the weekends. I still do that until today. I started in, I think, 2015, and I have like 1 or 2 students because this is not my full-time job, and I'm not trying to get new students, but I enjoy it, so I do it. Like on the weekends, even till today, I have 1 or 2 classes every weekend. It doesn't make me a lot of money, but I enjoy it, so I do it. I love my students. So yeah, I hope that answers the question about what jobs. You know, it really takes, if you don't already know how you're going to transfer your skills into the online world, into working online, then you might have a similar journey to mine, where you just try different things and then find out what you're really good at. And so through my journey, I found out that, yeah, I was really good at operations. I naturally am inclined towards systems and organizations and, yeah, all of that stuff. So I love it, and I love helping companies get organized the way that I organize my own life, I guess. Yeah, you know, I knew early on customer service wasn't my passion, but it was how I was going to get my foot through the door. So I think my advice really would be, if you're looking to work online, really look at your experience, look at what you've done for other companies, and see how you can just do that for, you know, companies that companies that have distributed workforces. So basically companies that don't need you to come into the office, right? And you'll be surprised. I mean, companies that have staff that work online or work remotely are very similar to your typical 9-to-5 type of company. They all need accountants, they all need operations, they all need project management, you know, they all need CEOs, and like those roles are there for everyone. So just look at what you're doing. You know, they all need HR. Yeah, so you'll be surprised. It's actually not that hard. You just have to apply. Just go on the job boards, you know, look at all the different roles that are out there and see what it is that you have experience in, and just keep applying for it. So yeah, I hope that this video helps. You know, for me, the journey was a little bit, you know, very roundabout to get to where I am now, but now I know what it is that my strengths are. I know what value I can bring to a company, and so it's gotten a lot easier for me to find new roles. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be very happy to help you guys. You know, this life of freedom, like working online, doesn't mean that you take it easy. It's not the case. Actually, I feel that I work more now that I work online than when I used to work when I was in a 9-to-5, you know, because we used to go to work, we were late, no one cared. We used to go for 2-hour lunches. Sometimes we would leave early, you know. My life was very different. Whereas now I really spend, when I'm working, I'm really working, you know. So you need a lot of discipline when you're working online. You have to be, you know, self-driven, because there's no one there to look over your shoulder, and you really need to want this badly enough, and I wanted it badly. So again, I'm not afraid of hard work. I am more passionate about living my dream life. So I'm willing to to put in the time and the effort that's needed for me to live my dream life. And I'm happy doing this, and I hope that this helped you. Let me know if you have any questions. And I'm looking forward to all of you, you know, living your dream life and living a life of freedom. This is what freedom means to me. And however freedom looks to you, I hope that you are all enjoying freedom in your lives. So thank you so much for listening, guys. Till next time, follow your heart and live fully.